and welcome. You're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. Ukraine and Turkey elaborate an opportunity to sign the free trade agreement in order to expand trade, economic and investment cooperation. It was stated by President Volodymyr Zelensky following the negotiations with his Turkish counterpart, Rejep Erdogan. In this case, trade between Ukraine and Turkey could reach $10 billion yearly. To discuss this opportunity, we welcome to our studio today Yevhen Nevmerzhytskyy. He is an economist. Hello, and thank you for joining.
Hello.
So on August 7th through 8th, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky was with an official visit in Ankara. And in the framework of this visit, he had a press conference, and this is what he had to say. I have a quote here. Mr. Zelensky said, "Cooperation between our countries is extremely rich. We will hold the 8th meeting of Ukraine-Turkey High-Level Strategic Council in Kyiv by the end of the year. We have agreed on the further expansion of trade, economic and investment cooperation. In 2018, our bilateral trade amounted to over $4 billion. I'm sure that's far from the limit of our potential. The implementation of joint projects and the liberalization of bilateral trade will help realize this potential." This is what Mr. Zelensky had to say. So there's also information that I just voiced that the economic trade in between Turkey and Ukraine is prone to expand of the amount of up to $10 billion. How realistic is that?
Of course, it is very possible, and it is very useful and interesting for both countries, for Ukraine and for Turkey. Some experts could say that it is more interesting to Turkey because it is a more developed country, and avoiding tax when penetration Ukrainian market, Turkey will benefit more. But of course, it's for development of both countries, and it is very good, I would say. And it is very possible to achieve 10 billion of US dollars for such trade in 1 year.
Economically, how beneficial will this collaboration be for Ukraine?
Okay, it is
Let's name at least 3 points that Ukraine will win in when collaborating with Turkey.
More money, more working places, more satisfaction for Ukrainian people. Okay, and fields where we can collaborate is infrastructure and different direction of economy. We already have wide cooperation. 4 billion, it is quite a good amount of cooperation, and increase to 10 billion US dollars, it is not very difficult, and I believe that it will be achieved.
Okay. Since 2014, Turkish companies have invested in Ukrainian economy over $800 million. And there was an aim of signing a free trade agreement. But unfortunately, it had to be postponed because the two Black Sea neighbors failed to finalize the pact. In your opinion, why wasn't it finalized, and what were the main stumbling blocks on the way? Which issues do we still need to work on so we do sign a free trade agreement with Turkey?
Okay, so one thing is to declare agreement, another thing is to sign and to follow this agreement. The main issue in successful investments is protection of this investment. And here I would like to underline President's declaration that he will protect Turkish investments personally. Of course, he needs to create in country the system which will protect not only investments from Turkey, but from all over the world.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say. I mean, if there are such preferences only for Turkish investors, how would other investors from abroad feel?
Okay, of course, it doesn't mean that he will personally protect only Turkish investments. Of course, to protect investments from all countries, including our own investments, we should have a court system, we should have a good defense, we have to make reforms, protect from corruption, and so on. So very deep reform we have to make. And now how world see Ukrainian economy and the situation. The biggest power concentrated in hands of president, and his words are very valuable. So now not only Ukrainian people believe him, but all the world believe and trust him. And further, we need real actions for these words to protect investments, protect our economy, and to do real steps for Ukrainian economy development.
Okay, the possible free trade agreement is not only for Turkey.
Yes.
It's not aimed only for between Ukraine and Turkey. There's also Israel. And the Ukrainian government has signed the ratification of the free trade agreement with the Israeli government, with Israeli top officials. Let's look at this situation. How effective would this trade agreement be for Kiev?
I would say that all these agreements looks like the same one, and real investment we can see only when real steps will be made from Ukrainian authorities, real protection of investment. And as soon those steps will be made, we will see real investments not only from Israel or Turkey, but from other countries, because to invest, investors see first of all for protection. So money needs like love, quietness, and when they will see real steps, as we already mentioned, they will invest because it is very profitable to invest into Ukraine in case of real protection of investors.
Well, in case the free trade agreement between Ukraine and Israel is finalized and signed, according to the export strategy of Ukraine, Israel is among the top 20 promising markets for Ukrainian export. Which, in your opinion, would be the most beneficial areas in cooperation?
Okay, there are different areas. I don't like to separate Ukraine like only agricultural country or some resources like metal or another resources. We can export intellectual property, and in this sphere Ukraine is have a very big potential. So I can say that very many directions could be developed by Ukraine, including high space technology or nuclear technologies in energy production. So Ukraine has very many directions where it could be very profitable and very successful.
Thank you so much for coming today, and thank you so much for such an informative conversation.
Thank you for the invitation.
That was Yevhen Nevmerzhytskyy. He's an economist. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.